You ever feel like you're trying so hard with positive thinking, but nothing's changing? Well, today we're going to break down legendary speaker Bob Proctor's take on the law of attraction. And trust me, it's way less about just wishing for things and a whole lot more about a hidden program that's secretly running your life. It all kicks off with this one really powerful question.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if there was this invisible law, just like gravity, that was dictating everything about your life? We're talking your income, your health, your relationships, the whole deal. Well, according to Bob Proctor, that's not some hypothetical what if. He says, no, that's reality. Okay, so that brings us to the first huge idea here. The law of attraction, it's not some tool you just pick up and decide to use whenever you feel like it. Proctor's whole point is that this thing is a fundamental law of the universe. And just like gravity, it's always on. And Proctor himself put it perfectly. He said, did you know that the law of attraction is always working? It's working whether you believe in it or not, whether you even understand it or not. You see, it's not a light switch you can just flick on and off. It's a constant. So to make this idea really stick, Proctor draws this fantastic parallel to gravity, right? We all get gravity. It governs mass, pulls stuff towards the center of the earth. Simple. Well, he says the law of attraction governs energy. It attracts situations and people that are in harmony or on the same frequency as the energy you're putting out. But the biggest, most important similarity he points to, you guessed it, they are both always on.
Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? If this law is always working 24/7, well, how does it actually work? What are the nuts and bolts? What are the mechanics of it all?
And this is where Bob Proctor's teaching really shines, because he doesn't just talk in abstracts. He uses this super simple diagram to literally map out the relationship between your mind, your body, and the results you're getting in your life. So first things first, he says, picture a big circle. That's it, just a big circle. This represents your mind. This is the control center. It's where everything, and I mean everything, gets started. All right, now right below that, draw a smaller circle. This is your body. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. He doesn't define the body as just, this physical thing. He says it's a mass of energy that's vibrating at a ridiculously high speed. Think of it like the instrument that just carries out whatever instructions the mind gives it. And for the last piece of the puzzle, he draws a line right through the middle of that big circle, the mind, splits it in two. The top half, that's your conscious mind. The part that thinks, that reasons, your intellect. The bottom half is your subconscious mind. He calls this the emotional mind, and that is where all the programming is stored.
Okay, so now we get to the absolute heart of Proctor's entire teaching, the paradigm. This is the hidden program that he says is actually running the show, controlling pretty much everything in our lives, and most of us don't even know it's there. So what on earth is a paradigm? Well, Proctor's definition is simple. It's a multitude of habits. That's it. It's all that information, all that programming that got lodged in your subconscious mind when you were a kid. And that programming, it controls almost all of your habitual behavior. Think about that. And this programming, it comes from literally everywhere. Your genetics, your environment, everything you've ever experienced, it's been building up since the day you were born. Proctor gives this a name. He calls this conditioning your X-type energy. And here's the most important part of this whole thing. That programming is what controls your body's vibration. And this right here brings us to that massive frustration that so many people have with the law of attraction. Why does just thinking positive so often feel like it does, well, nothing? Proctor's model shows us exactly why. It's because there's a huge conflict between our new thoughts and our old, deep-seated program. So let me break down this conflict for you. In your conscious mind, right? The top part of the circle, you can think whatever you want. You can entertain a brand new positive idea. Let's say you want to earn way more money. Proctor calls this a Y-type thought, because it's totally different from your current X-type result. But here's the problem. Your subconscious mind, that emotional part that controls your actual vibration, it's not listening to that new thought. Not at all. It's being run by the old programming, by the X-type paradigm, which is built on decades of past experiences and beliefs. So when that shiny new Y-type idea comes in and tries to take root, it just smashes up against that old subconscious program. And that creates this massive internal chaos. It feels awful. As Proctor says, it's so uncomfortable, that's stepping out of the box. You feel all that worry and doubt because that new idea is a total stranger to your old programming. It's like The paradigm is the bouncer for your comfort zone. It sees this new, unfamiliar idea trying to get in, and it immediately rejects it. It throws up this wall of worry, fear, and doubt. And that internal clash, that's exactly why just using willpower and thinking positive almost never leads to real, lasting change.
So if just consciously thinking a new thought isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the real key, according to this whole model, has nothing to do with what you think. It has everything to do with the emotional frequency you are tuned to.
And Proctor's radio analogy just makes this crystal clear. Think about it. Your vibration, which is set by your paradigm, it's just like the dial on a radio. You can only get the results that match the station you're tuned to. You can't just sit there wishing for a different song to play on the rock station. You have to literally change the dial to the pop station. You have to change the paradigm itself. And listen, this isn't just some nice theory. Proctor lived this. He shares his own story as proof. He was making $4,000 a year, and then a mentor gave him this wild why-type idea. He learned how to actually change his paradigm about money, and his income just exploded. It went from $4,000 a year to $175,000 in a single year. That's the power of changing your internal frequency. So you see how it all connects. It's like a chain reaction. Your results in life, they don't just happen by accident. They're created by what you attract. And what you attract is set by your vibration. And what controls your vibration? You got it, your subconscious paradigm. It all comes back to the paradigm. That is the root cause of everything. So if you take away just one thing from Proctor's entire model, let it be this. If you want to permanently change your results on the outside, you have to do the work on the inside. It's not about just thinking different thoughts. It's about actually changing the deep underlying paradigm that's controlling your vibration in the first place. This whole framework is such a powerful way to look at our lives, isn't it? But just like Proctor loves to do, it leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. If your paradigm is controlling your results, then what's controlling your paradigm?